What's going on, YouTubers? Ragewing TV here, coming at you again with another guide. Today we're going to do heroic Ubers. Yes. And we're going to start with Orbender Gorishan. Now, previously I've done these guides. I've gone over like every ability and what you can do to kind of counter this. Today it's going to be a little bit more general. I'm kind of trying something new. I'm going to pretty much do what the Dungeon Journal does, just not as vaguely. Because I think the Dungeon Journal does get a few things incorrect when they're going over certain strategies. Anyway, the first boss. We'll start with the tanks, of course. You want to tank the boss on his platform that he's going to start on. Make sure, tanks, you know which abilities are able to be physically mitigated and which abilities are magical. Okay, so if, for example, you're a warrior like me, shield barrier versus shield block. What's better if you have the gear and you can generate enough rage to just use one. DPS is going to stack behind the boss, leaving the platform to stop the boss's power conduit ability and to avoid the AoE from Shrapnel Nova. Now you don't have to do this, but it will help your healer. Now this ability is so detrimental because it ignores armor. It's detrimental to the tanks, more so to DPS and heals. A good way of dealing with this ability is to line of sight it, hop off of the platform, stacking on either the right or left side corner, right as you run up that ramp. Everybody should stack there, one side, excluding the tank, of course. Quickly deal with Shrapnel Nova and then run back up. This will also allow you to avoid taking any damage from the Lightning Orb of Death if both of them are moving around the platform at this point. Healers, same job as always. Keep the group alive and make sure you stay in line of sight of those that jump off of the platform to deal with the boss's ability. Next boss, Kirek. Tanks is going to position the boss right where he starts, and his adds can be killed first if you so choose. Logically move the boss to the new position during the Vile Blood Serum ability before it actually hits the ground and deals damage to you. And that goes for anybody, DPS or heals. Pay attention to debilitating fixation and interrupt it, either during the initial cast or during the channel. I would recommend the initial cast. But if you're moving and you can't get there exactly in time, it shouldn't be an issue, but you can interrupt it during the channel as well. Ranged DPS and melee DPS, be ready to move and stack with each other. This will reduce the amount of ground covered by Vile Blood Serum, and be ready to interrupt debilitating fixation in case the tank is out of range. Again, it can be interrupted during the cast or the channeled ability. Healers and DPS, Rejuvenating Serum must also be dealt with here. It can be dispelled, purged, spell stolen, or trank shotted, and this is the actual effect once it's actually on Kirex. It's not during the cast. You cannot interrupt it. So he has to cast it, take the potion. Once you see the hot on him, then you can either dispel, purge, or trank shot the ability. Healers stack with the range to reduce the surface area coverage of Vile Blood Serum, ready to dispel the disorient from the tank if he gets hit by the eruption from either add. The next boss, Commander Tharbek. Tank the boss at the entrance after he lands, avoiding the incinerating breath from the Sky Reaver and the noxious spit. Once it's dead, be ready for some moderate to heavy damage. Avoid tanking the boss near his whirling fire axe. That's bad. Eventually more adds are going to spawn tanks, and you want to get aggro on them as quickly as possible. Have the DPS do their job. Cleave them down off the boss. DPS, avoid standing in front of each other because the boss is going to do a charge ability. If he does charge to someone behind you and you are in front of them, you're in the way, it will do damage to you. Don't get hit by the red fiery swirling axe. It does a lot of damage to you and you're going to piss off your healer. If it's getting close to you, stop casting and move. Alright? You can't do damage if you're dead. Healers, make sure to avoid the Iron Reaver. Same thing, Fiery Axe. Have a form of aggro drop if at all possible, when the ads spawn during the boss encounter, okay? Hopefully you have a nice hunter that will misdirect the ads to the tank. Very helpful. Moving on to the next boss, Ragewing the Untamed. This is a fun fight, though somewhat aggravating if you have crazy healers. Tanks, you can absolutely stand in the middle of the bridge like the Dungeon Journal suggests. I actually prefer to stand off to the side, but that's just my personal preference. The reason I do that is because I'm kind of taking a 50-50 shot as to which way Ragewing is going to actually start his engulfing fire. So you can start in the middle though. Every 30% the boss is going to run away like a little bitch and call her boys, and these should be tanked and killed immediately. Alright? DPS, make sure you have your damage reduction abilities ready. If you think you're going to get hit by engulfing fire, when excuse me, be ready to use them. When the Ragewing whelps spawn, it's best to stack on the tank. Okay, whether they're in the center, on the side, or whatever they are, stack on the tank. It's just easier to group up the ads. Not every tank has a mocking banner, so help them out, make their job a little bit easier, and you get to start damaging them a lot faster if the tank has aggro on them. So be sure to watch your footing also in regards to the magma spit. Try not to stand in that. Healers don't like that. Healers, you need to stack, of course, during the ad phase with the tank as well. Most likely when those little Ragewing whelps spawn, they're going to have aggro on you for a split second, and they're going to start to come toward you before the tank starts to really get them off of you. So once that happens, just in case you have a tank that's not competent, or you are low on health or whatever, just have a form of aggro drop ready. Be ready to hit that. And finally, the last boss, WarlordZilla. This boss has been dubbed the most difficult boss thus far. Of course, we don't have any raids out yet. Thus far, for 5-man content. Very difficult. It's going to be an interesting CM daily today to see how this goes. So you want to try to tank WarlordZilla in the middle of the platform at all times. The reason for this is because she has an ability called Destructive Smite, which will do a knockback. If you're too close to the edge, she'll knock you off the edge and you die. Another ability she has to watch out for melee, ranged, and tanks is Black Iron Cyclone. What she'll do is you get a warning from DBM saying Black Iron Cyclone coming in, and then she'll Thok fixate you, okay? And she's going to start doing a whirlwind in the middle of the platform. Before she actually does the whirlwind, everyone needs to spread out. You need to move away from this. This does a lot of damage, avoidable damage, and you especially need to spread out from the fixated target. So that's avoidable. It shouldn't be a problem. At 60%, she's going to leave the platform, summoning 3 ads, which should be killed and tanked centrally as much as possible. Now this makes things a little bit more difficult because this is when the drakes start to come in and cast their fiery breath across the platform. So it complicates things a little bit. Be wary, the ads can pull you into the fire. They can knock you back. Tanks, this is for you. Make sure your back is facing a direction in which you have plenty of room to get knocked back, and there's still going to be platform behind you. Again, be wary of the drakes. If you have to make a choice, choose fire over falling, all right? And just be ready to pop a heavy mitigation CD. Myself, I've got Last Stand, coupled, because it is a percent heal, coupled with either Enraged Regen or Shield Wall. DPS, be aware of tank positioning. Not every group is going to have a competent tank. You should be avoiding damage. If the tank has the ads in the fire breath, don't stand there. It's not worth your life. Okay? Some groups do have trouble with this part, especially because there is a lot going on. This does add the not only the ads, but the proto drakes, which are, like I said, spitting fire across the platform. It's not a bad idea to heroism here, or lust, or time warp, whichever side you're on. Will be Warcraft politically correct here. So that is a possibility if you're having trouble at this stage of the game. Healers, make sure you spread out to avoid the cleave from the rebounding blade also, and this also goes for range DPS. She'll throw an axe at someone, and it has a chance, or excuse me, it will hit two two targets near the initial target. So make sure you guys are spread out here. Make sure you know when to stack. When the ads are there, go a little bit closer to them. Be wary of the fire. There's a lot going on in this fight, but I have no doubt if you follow this guide, if you read the dungeon journal, if you listen to my advice, you will succeed at this, as many people have. I'm glad I could bring this guide to you guys. You have a wonderful day. We'll be doing CMs soon, very shortly. I'm going to get those guides going. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps me out. Let me know what you guys thought of the guide. And you can follow me on Twitter or Twitch. Just search for Ragewing TV. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.